A drop bear is a made-up animal from Australian folklore. It's basically a koala, but it tries to kill you. This critter lives in trees and drops onto the heads of unsuspecting tourists or bushwalkers. This animal is basically used to be a funny way to scare tourists, especially those that believe that every animal in Australia is trying to kill you, although that is somewhat warranted. Drop bears are normally described as larger, more aggressive, carnivorous versions of their peaceful, eucalyptus-munching koala counterparts. In spite of their fearsome reputation and how much some Australians will try to convince you that they're real, drop bears are entirely made up and part of Australian humor. Where the drop bear myth came from is kind of unclear, but it's a relatively recent addition to Australian folklore. It probably came around in the later half of the 20th century and was probably just invented as a playful way to scare tourists, and so the locals could have a laugh trying to play on the fear some tourists have of unknown and dangerous wildlife in Australia. Normally, these large and aggressive marsupials live in treetops, waiting for the perfect head or shoulder to drop onto, and then killing the person that they landed on. Apparently, it's said that they are more likely to attack people with foreign accents. Maybe it's because the drop bear already knows that Australians know to look up. But don't worry, there's ways to protect yourself. Australian guides will be more than happy to provide you with their detailed and entirely made up advice on how to avoid attacks. You could try placing a fork in your hair, smearing Vegemite behind your ears or under your armpits, speak in an Australian accent, or maybe just avoid walking under trees. Of course, your guide will typically give you these instructions with a completely straight face, and probably a jar of Vegemite in their hands. But I guess it's better to be safe than sorry, so we'll advise you to bring a small jar of Vegemite just in case whenever you're visiting the Australian wilderness. And remember, look up.